Welcome to the Spiritual Principles Made Practical podcast. I'm your host, Scott Friedman, and today it's all about dying to self. The phrase that ends the prayer of St. Francis, at least the translation that I read, was in dying to self, we are born to eternal life. And when I read that, boy, I'll tell you, it just reached out and grabbed me. And it's been, in many ways, the focus of my attention for the last several decades. And basically, what it means is that switching my identity from being a separate individual or the self in that phrase to being one with all that exists, which in that phrase would be eternal life. Because once we free ourselves of um, thought, because thought creates time, and when we free ourselves of thought and we go into being one with all, then uh, the time doesn't exist anymore because time only exists when we create it with our mind. And it's really, and you say, well, what good is that to me in my daily, to-dos and stuff? Perspective is everything, let me tell you. And to be able to be in a place where we choose if we're going to be in time and in contrast and in conflict, or whether or not we're going to be at peace, one with all things, uh, everything existing within us, and just being, and being encompassing everything, including the will, and whether or not the will decides to create the mind and direct the mind to create time and all of that. Having that perspective means that we can extricate ourselves anytime we want from the world of contrast and time. And that's really what eternal life is all about. It's about being in the ever-present moment, right? So if we don't create time, then the only moment that exists is the present. And we hear that a lot, right? And this is, filling that out more, right? And so it's um, and as is usual, for me at least, in my inspiration, I get that I'm further along in my spiritual growth and development than I give myself credit for, and I guess that's while it may still be the case, maybe it's less the case now in recording this podcast because I feel like now I'm able to uh, consciously decide if I want to be in the world of the mind or whether or not I want to be in the existence of being. Because there's no thought in the existence of being for me, and that's my point of view on it all. And you're certainly free and even encouraged to develop your own perspectives and understanding of this. I just find that to be able to make time and contrast and all of that a choice gives me a detachment and a separation and a perspective that I really like, and it helps me, experience more choice, and that's really a big deal for me. And also, it gives me a vantage point from where I can um, understand creation in greater detail. I mean, I've been working on the book Creation, the How and the Why for close to 5 years now, and I just have never had the detached perspective sufficient to be able to, write that book the way I want to write it. And so so this is another step in that direction, and we'll see in my meditation whether or not, if and when, if and when I'm ever inspired to get that book written and finished and out the door. We'll see. But certainly, from the standpoint that, anything that I would want, that I would choose to create, the only reason that I would choose to create it is because that it would add to my experience of peace and wholeness and understanding and acceptance of what's true. And part of that And and that's the same with like goals, right? The value of any goal is the growth that we need to accomplish in order to achieve that goal. And ultimately, because growth is really the acceptance of what's true, well, part of what's true is that the mind is only a small part of our being. And we think it's a big part, but it's not. It's only a small part of our being, and it's directed by our will. And we only engage with it when we choose to. Now, historically, that choice has largely been unconscious, right? We feel like, well, we have no choice. I'm stuck here on planet Earth, and I've got to, get food for dinner, and I've got to pay the bills. And historically, that's where we've been. And as we accept what's true, that gives way to, oh, uh, I'm having thoughts in the world that my mind has created. I can continue to engage with those thoughts, or I can go to just being all that exists and just be here and be at peace with everything. And then if I want to choose to go back to be in the world of the mind later, I can do that. But it's really, really nice to feel that there's, an escape hatch, so to speak, of retreating to a deeper and more profound understanding of being, in which there is no mind, and when there is no mind, there is no suffering, because the suffering is born of contrast, and all contrast is created by the mind. So when there's so whenever there's suffering, it's created by our mind, and and when we is really, I don't know, to me, it's one of the greatest of all insights and understandings is the fact that I don't have to engage my mind if I don't want to, and that I can just just be. And so that's that's what to me dying to self is. It's dying to the idea that who I am is limited to what my mind creates. And when I let go of that falsehood and accept that I am all that exists, I am being, then and mind is just a small part of what exists that I can choose to engage with or not. I really relax, and I feel better, and it's, yeah, that relaxing and feeling better is in the world of the mind, but it's uh, kind of in the world of the mind, but with, to a large extent, the clarity of being. So it's that when we accept being, our vibration, our energy level increases dramatically. And that energy level permeates, and to some extent that vibration permeates all perspectives, including the perspective of the mind, so that when I can come back and record this podcast, right? And so in recording this podcast, I'm me, you're you, I'm choosing to participate in the differentiation of the mind, and I'm doing it consciously. And that allows me to have a lot more energy and a lot more effectiveness, a lot more clarity, and just a lot more ability to effectively create what I want, because I create with my mind, and the more accurate the thoughts in my mind are, the more energy I have at my disposal to create, because only the mind creates. I mean, the mind has created our universe. I mean, the mind is like really powerful, right? And it's still a small part of our being. I mean, it's, you really got to sort of open your mind, so to speak, to grasp all of that. Uh, but that's what resonates as truth to me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But in any event, I'm kind of happy to have feel that I've really made the jump to uh, being conscious of um, when I being conscious of being more than my mind, being conscious of being more than this corporal being, being conscious of my choice to be able to engage my mind in all that it creates and have a greater perspective on what my mind does create and a greater understanding of that. And so it's we'll see how it all goes, but I do feel a tremendous sense of relief knowing that I can go back to just being all that is anytime I want, and there's no suffering there. And that's a key thing, right? Is that to be able to understand very consciously that um, the only, suffering is my creation, and I have the power to choose to just rest in being and not experience any suffering. That is something of value, as far as I'm concerned. And to me, that's what it means to die to self, to understand that my understanding of being a separate person is the self, and I can die to that. I can give up that idea of being a separate person anytime I want and just retreat into being. And that I don't know. That's a great level of freedom, let me tell you. It's just like, oh, thank God. Anyway, I offer thought coaching because basically what happens is that all the wisdom that exists anywhere exists within you, exists within me. And by being aware of our thoughts, we're able to tap in and employ that wisdom for our benefit and the benefit of the people that we create in the world. And so if you want to my assistance in being more supported in accepting the thoughts in your mind and being able to choose which thoughts you deem as being true and worth acting on, and which thoughts you deem as being false and not worth acting on. Um, it would be my pleasure in this differentiated world to help you. And if you want to transcend this differentiated world, I can help you with that too. You can contact me at scottfriedman40@gmail.com, and we'll enjoy the differentiated world, and we'll exercise our choice as to when we want to participate with that differentiated world. So SCOTTFRIEDMAN40@gmail.com. And we'll go through it all, and it'll be awesome. My books are available on Amazon. You can find links to them on my website, www.thoughtcoachingbyscott.com. And there are a lot of ways that we can move towards dying to ourself and being born to eternal life. And one of them on an experiential level is to focus on win-win, because if we're all one, right? If we uplift anybody, we uplift everybody. And so to be able to find and identify win-win activities that we participated in gives us more of a conscious experience of what it is to be one and to transcend all differentiation and to live in eternal being and eternal peace. And so, in that vein, connecting those dots, if you'd like to share a win-win experience and solution that you identified and implemented and you and the rest of the world benefited from, I'd love to interview you, because that's part of what I've decided to do in the differentiated world, is to bring a greater experience and understanding of how win-win uh, lifts us all up and allows us to experience more of what is truly available to us in life, and more of the joy in life, and then to the extent we choose to transcend the differentiated life. So anyway, um, chew on that, baby. That's it for now. Let me hear from you. Again, Scott Friedman 40 at gmail.com, and we'll uh, engage in the differentiated world in a way that we experience joy and be able to have a greater choice of when we create suffering. All right. Bye for now.